Let us continue our topic on sampling distributions. Here is a picture of William S. Gossett. So ano nga ba yung contribution niya sa statistics? Gossett is a quality control engineer of the Guinness Brewery. As part of his job, he checks the quality of the stout. Ito ay isang kind ng beer. And to check the quality, gumagamit siya ng 3 to 4 samples. However, na-notice niya na yung mga rejected na samples niya turns out to be accepted by the laboratory. Then gumawa siya ng research and found out that the shape of the sampling distribution changes based on the number of samples. Yung naging result ng research niya na sampling distribution is what we call the student T distribution. However, nung present niya to sa kanilang company, he did not receive any support and worse, he was not given the permission to publish his research work. So paano nalaman ng mga tao yung students T distribution? Gumawa ng paraan si William Gosset at pinablish niya yung work niya under the pseudonym student. Kaya tinawag na students T distribution. The students T distribution is also a bell-shaped curve just like the normal distribution. Pero does it mean na the normal distribution is the same as the student's T distribution? Definitely not. Pero meron silang mga similarities at meron din syempre silang differences. Here are the similarities of the normal distribution and the student's T distribution. Both of them assume a normally distributed population. And both of them are also symmetric about the mean. Kasi nga, bell-shaped sila. So, dapat symmetric siya. Next, the mean, the median, and the mode are all equal to 0. And the curve is asymptotic with the x-axis. Ano-ano naman yung pagkakaiba nila? The t-distribution is composed of family of curves and is defined by its degrees of freedom. Habang nag-iiba yung sample size mo, nag-iiba din yung t-distribution mo. Next is, if the population standard deviation is given, we will use the standard normal distribution. Yun yung z natin. However, if the population standard deviation is not given, we will use the t distribution. Notice that doon sa baba ng ating formula, yung sigma natin doon sa z changes to s doon sa t natin. Okay? So doon sa z, we are using the population standard deviation, while in our t, we are using the sample standard deviation. Another is we can only use the t distribution when n is less than 30. Also, in the t distribution, the variance is greater than 1. And the greater the sample size, the closer the variance is to 1. The t distribution becomes similar to the standard normal distribution as sample size becomes larger. And the t distribution has a higher kurtosis than the normal distribution. So ano nga ba yung tinatawag nating degrees of freedom? The degrees of freedom, denoted by df, that is found by subtracting 1 from the number of sample size. These are the number of values that can vary after calculating for a sample statistic. Ano nga ba ito? It is the number of independent observations in a set of data. And it indicates the tail heaviness of a t-distribution. It also indicates how many samples can be randomly selected before constraints must be put in place. So remember, pag sinabing degrees of freedom, that is n minus 1. Now, let's compare the normal distribution and the t-distribution. Itong blue na curve, this is our normal distribution, while the orange curve is the student's t-distribution. So, tignan natin kung ano ang mangyayari kapag pinapalaki natin yung sample size or the degrees of freedom. Notice that habang pinapalaki natin yung df natin, numinipis yung ating mga tails. And at the same time, habang numinipis yung tails, ina-approach natin yung standard normal distribution. Based on our observations, the t distribution is flatter and fatter than the normal distribution. And as the sample size or the degrees of freedom increases, yung tail ng ating distribution becomes lighter. Mas lumilit siya, mas luminipis. Okay? And as the sample size increases, the t distribution approaches the standard normal distribution.